Being a pro gamer in StarCraft 2 is a very challenging task. The competition is fierce, the money is scarce, and opportunities slipped away with each passing year, starting around 2013, when the game gradually began losing viewers and popularity. In such conditions, not everyone could sustain a successful career, and the average pro gamer had to work extremely hard. The player known as YoDa tried very hard. In 2011, he joined Incredible Miracle, one of the South Korea's top teams, an ideal safety net for a swift start to a pro gaming career. However, at Korea's premier tournament, the GSL, YoDa encountered insurmountable obstacles. The GSL tournament was split into two tiers, Code S and Code A. Code S offered large prize pools and featured the strongest players, while Code A essentially served as a qualifying filter. Only a few could advance to Code S, and even there, the competition was incredibly tough. This was true for our hero, YoDa, who failed to reach Code S throughout all of 2011. In 2012, history repeated itself, but towards the second half of the year, YoDa gradually clawed his way into Code S. However, he couldn't hold his ground. Strongest players knocked him back to Code A. He spent the entire year striving to improve and reach the level of Korea's elite. Was YoDa just lacking skills? Well, not really. Surprisingly, even MVP, the top-tier player of that era, had said back in 2011 that YoDa was the most talented member of their team and would soon surpass even him in skill level, potentially making history with big victories in future. YoDa did indeed become famous, though not in the way MVP had foreseen. Over 12 months, he earned just 7,000, a modest sum that wouldn't have sustained him in South Korea without his team's support. YoDa's playstyle was versatile, though he favored solid macro games and thrived in the turn late game, where he could outmatch any opponent. Unfortunately, these skills didn't propel him to the forefront of the Korean StarCraft until 2013. In March 2013, YoDa traveled to Europe for the IM World Championship. The event gathered many of the world's and Korea's strongest players. Advancing from the group stage was no issue, but the real fest began afterwards. YoDa first defeated Grubby, a Warcraft 3 champion. Then he narrowly overcame Parting. In the next round, he faced StarCraft 2 legend himself, MVP. This battle was pivotal for YoDa, not just due to the tournament bracket, but because of its deeper significance and MVP's prophecy. MVP was the world's best Terran, and defeating him would mark a crucial milestone in YoDa's career. The matches were intensely close, but YoDa ultimately triumphed over his rival in a grueling macro game, fulfilling MVP's 2-year-old prediction that YoDa would surpass him and potentially become the new Terran Bonjour. Let's take a quick look at some in-game moments.
Position is YoDa's friend here. Remember, the winner of this game will go to the grand finals here, and it's about to happen.
He's going to take the engagement here. The siege tank's actually providing a lot of fire, but at the same time, it looks like those marine counts are actually melting away here for YoDa. It's 56 marines against 15 left over. Are the marines going to be able to crush through? But a lot of them still get obliterated. There's only 20 marines left here for MVP. The tank support was fantastic for YoDa, and he's taken a 60
and
supply.
Now MVP's forces are slammed against the left-hand side here, unless he starts to pick up and drop. But I don't even think he has enough medivacs for it. One last fight is going to begin.
Yeah, and all the back of this as well, all the SCVs coming on in here as well for MVP. He knows this is his last shot. Will he be able to do it? The siege tanks raining down fire on this entire army, obliterating marine after marine. Gauss rifles fly everywhere. 40 supply. GG! YoDa advances on to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship final.
He then advanced to the finals, where he cruised to a 4-0 victory over Fist, his clanmate, with little resistance. Thus, from almost out of nowhere, YoDa transformed from a mediocre Code A player into a newborn champion.
He may win this championship right here with the next attack coming in. There are a couple of High Templars. I need to have a quick look to see if they've got Storm. They do not. They do not, I repeat, have Storm, as Vikings do Landers. That's trying to pull his opponent out of position, and it's working indeed because the units go left, but the Marine and Marauders come up the ramp. No Storm, remember, and these High Templar are completely useless. I don't know if he thinks he has it or if he doesn't, but either way, the Marine Marauders are marching towards victory. Storm starts being researched a little bit too late in this game. More and more units are streaming in. We're about to have potentially an Intel Extreme Masters champion here, a guy that replaced another player who is now in the Grand Finals, winning 3-0 with units everywhere. The natural nexus falls, and units in the main units on the third. YoDa is absolutely everywhere. He's about to ace a 4-0 here if this defense doesn't work. Still no Storm. Archons are falling, and this is it with 2-2 completed. GG! LG, I am YoDa completes the ace. LG, I am YoDa. A massive victory for this 20-year-old here as he goes and grabs that trophy. He doesn't wait for anybody to give it him, Todd. He goes and gets what's his.
And yet, despite this major victory, YoDa's career didn't take off dramatically. It remained a fleeting exception. The rest of 2013 was lackluster, and a dire setback struck late that year. Incredible Miracle lost its sponsor, LG, leading to some player contracts not being renewed. Even with his IM title, YoDa was cut and left without a salary. This pushed him towards the only logical choice, relocating to Europe. The competition there was weaker, but it came with a downside: the absence of Korea's familiar team houses and training partners. Historically, Europe hosted either retiring Korean players like MC and MVP, or those unable to shine in GSL. In 2014, however, players could still compete globally, allowing Koreans to farm both their domestic leagues and also European tournaments. YoDa began battling on two fronts. That year became his career peak. With the slightest skill boost came bigger earnings, like a second-place finish at WCS Europe, where he narrowly missed the championship against MMA. He amassed $25,000 in prize money, a vast improvement over prior years. Signed by a South English team TCM, it seemed everything was finally going fine for this player. But there were two big problems looming over StarCraft 2. Life just didn't want to give YoDa a break. First, the game's decline was evident, but the speed started to increase significantly since 2014. The game was losing popularity for a myriad of reasons that we covered in many of our other stories. Teams and sponsors began shutting down their StarCraft 2 divisions, as sustaining large rosters of 10-20 players grew unprofitable, and only a few could survive the cut. This ended regular salaries and travel compensations, forcing players to rely on streaming or just major wins to survive. The second blow hit in early 2015. Previously, Koreans could compete anywhere, but now an official document, like a residence permit, was required, not just a short-term visa. This forced all Koreans back to the already overcrowded GSL and other domestic leagues where spots were scarce. This was also true for YoDa, who just couldn't stay in Europe. Returning to Korea, YoDa initially made it back to Code's top 16, but his performance soon faltered, sliding back to a below-average level. Over the next 9 months, his results were dismal, dropping him to Code with a mere 2,500 in earnings. This is basically just pennies in South Korea. His only lifeline was joining Team Prime, another Korean team that could offer a salary and some level of support. Yet Prime was far from being stable. Struggling with massive debts, it was on the verge of collapse, with only its dedicated coach, Gerard, fighting to keep it afloat. The team hadn't performed well in team leagues for ages, losing players steadily. And in Pro League, the key team competition, Prime languished at the bottom. It seemed fate had harsh trials in store for both the team and YoDa, and eventually, even salary payments were delayed, with no hope in sight. But no one foresaw the catastrophic turn ahead. On October 19th, Korean police arrested YoDa and Gerard on suspicion of fraud and match fixing. Investigations revealed that Gerard had brokered deals with third parties, coordinating with players, in this case YoDa and also one of his Prime teammates. Bets were placed not just on wins or losses, but also on playstyles and timings, making some fraud hard to detect. Still, YoDa drew scrutiny repeatedly, and his poor 2015 play was almost entirely due to match fixing. Let's examine the key moments. Almost every match under investigation featured highly suspicious moves. Starting with GSL, detectives flagged 2 suspect matches, though they couldn't really pinpoint which was fixed, but it's kinda clear for any StarCraft 2 fan. Against TY, YoDa made a glaring mistake, which is very rare for Terrans at his level. He sent a full medevac to the enemy's main and just didn't unload his troops, letting them die. Typically, this is pre-queued with shift command, which is easy and requires no attention, and let's see how it unfolded.
Oh, it looks like YoDa's actually going to start pushing over to the other side.
Yeah, he's actually going for it, and he's dropping over here. Oh my
Is he?
God!
Oh,
He's supposed to be
no.
dropping over there.
That's really bad.
Okay, this game is very similar to the last one. Is it dead? Did it die?
Did it die?
I think so. I don't see any yellow blip on the map.
No way. Only got
Wow.
one Marine out? Oh my God. YoDa.
That mistake was minor and plausible, but earlier in the group stage against Life, his throw was absolutely blatant. YoDa opted for a proxy to catch Life off guard, but ironically, Life was unprepared and nearly guaranteed to lose. His position was absolutely horrible, and forced to tank the game, YoDa's Marines half-heartedly attacked drones, avoiding damage and just walking around from one place to another, and then they stumbled into an obvious ambush.
Give off drones on the edge.
He's only going to cause lost mining time. That's pretty much what he expects. Maybe catch something coming out of the egg. Oh, no, not quite.
Oh,
Oh,
the
here
drones
come the
are being pulled.
drones. And he has a link flank there, too. So actually, he'll be able to kill these three. That's very nice.
Oh my God. Oh, the drones are being pulled.
He then built a wall, seemingly trapping the Zerg for a win, but then deliberately cancelled an unfinished supply depot with enough health to tank, thus not letting his Marines kill more Zerglings. It got worse. His Marines chased 3 Zerglings aimlessly instead of bunkering or retreating, just wasting time. But the main point, YoDa placed his second base down on his natural without defenses, despite spotting Bailings and Life's imminent counterattack. Terrans always place their command center on the main in this situation, as their buildings can simply fly and then relocate. And then he built also one more command center to seal his loss, an indefensible move even a Bronze League player would not risk, knowing the attack was coming. He lost, and even Life looked stunned.
And kill a bunch of SCVs.
I gotta say, if Life wins this game, it's very telling of the disparity in skill.
Yeah.
And actually, could it be any worse right before the command center finishes?
Well,
right before it finishes,
Yeah.
he will not get this command center finished.
It's pretty bad, and he sees all these banelings, so he knows that his depot wall is as good as
Oh
dead.
my God! It could
has
not
no
have been closer right
Marines.
there. That could not have
I
been
think
closer.
Life, yeah, it's just GG.
Oh my God!
Life,
Okay.
did you see the smirk on Life's face?
Yeah. Actually, could it be any worse right before the command center finishes?
Well,
right before it finishes,
Yeah.
he will.
Next, against Don Regu, the throw was more subtle. Poor scouting and weak micro were the only red flags, and similar issues marked his matches with Symbol, so it's really tough to pinpoint one exact moment that was kinda weird or strange. But his Pro League match against Hero offered solid proof. Whenever YoDa gained an edge, his army control just turned horrible, especially when it came to dodging storms. He lingered in storms, moved late, and never really pre-split his army, almost zero splitting every time they tried to fight. For a Korean pro, this was gold or maybe even silver league play, and let's just watch these moments.
A big moment for him to engage, +1 for the Vikings as well. He's trying to stim and run around. Ooh, this is so risky what YoDa is trying to force here, but he does have the larger army, and he does have the better upgrades. He's going to go for the chase here. So many of these Colossi are in the low. That storm hits so many Vikings.
That storm is so key. As you mentioned, the 3-3 is going to finish up here, even cloaking for his ghost. The run-bys of Hero have been huge the entire game, but I'm worried about this big engagement. Can Hero actually hold it off?
That's
That is
the
the
question.
question. He's going to pull a bunch of probes.
Oh man, here we go! Storm goes down, that might be enough. The second storm hits as well. And that is just going to be too much Protoss here.
man.
The last of the Colossi fall though, and this army is still alive. There's so many medevacs, they're low, but they have that healing power. It's just the reinforcing power that Hero has that YoDa does not have. Yep, he's not using it though, and he's just gonna sit here and eat storms from the south. And it looks like this is actually just gonna be the straw that, or the straw that breaks the camel's back, as they say. That's the trouble there. That's it. It only
You
takes
got it out, man.
it only takes a second to make a mistake in a fight like this that could cost you the game.
And he has no more Vikings anymore.
Denial was futile. Beyond obvious game evidence, police broke other accomplices who pointed at YoDa and fellow pro players. He was fined $28,000 and also given a 3-year suspended sentence and banned from StarCraft 2 for life. Already broke, YoDa was left destitute, unable to continue in a game that once promised decent earnings. His story ended tragically. A champion with a bright future, foretold by the best, he just sank to ruin. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this tale, check out the video on another infamous StarCraft 2 cheater live. See you next time.